My friends, thank you for being there. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and you know I love to talk to you. I love to talk about things that I know are very important, that can be a complete change of life, change of style, change of everything. And the more you know, the better prepared you're going to be. You know, health doesn't come just for granted. I know that many of us just take any challenge, any health problem, anything as something that's going to happen to somebody else. It's very well known that many times people come up with a diagnosis and they say, "Why me?" And that's really the bottom line of the program that I'm planning to do today. The condition, the situation where we all are putting ourselves into just by not learning, just by not studying, just by not being informed on how to take care of your body, how to make sure that everything runs well, and how make changes when things do not go the way they should go. But in order to be able to do it, we have to first of all know who we are and how we function. And we're broadcasting today, as every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Truth Be Told Radio Network. And if you Spotify Truth Be Told Radio Network, you're going to find over 150 programs like this, where I want to convey a message of how we can keep this wonderful body, this temple that we have been given, in good shape, healthy, and performing. Because health brings joy. There's not going to be joy in life if you're sick. And unfortunately, we all have learned that sometimes the worst possible manner. But you just have to understand that this body of ours needs special care, needs BioCare, no matter what you're going to be doing with your life. You can have fun, you can go to party, you can do a lot of things. Yet, you have to stop at a certain point and say, I better check this out. I better improve this area, etc. Just like your car. You have a wonderful car, you have a 4x4, you have this big truck that you love, and then you decide to go camping. And you choose the worst pathways because you know your car is very strong, very powerful. It can do it. And you're going to enjoy jumping on all those potholes and stones and cliffs, etc. But before you do that trip, you check your car out. You make sure tires are in good shape, that they have the proper pressure. You check the oil. You check the transmission levels. You check the whole thing to make sure it's going to do what you want. But not only that, when the challenge is over, when you went on your dream vacation, when you did all these things that you wanted to do, you're going to come back, and then we're going to take another look to your car, because you want to make sure that it's as good as you took it out, that it doesn't have any dents because of the stones, any scratches because of the branches of the trees or shrubs, etc. So you start cleaning it out, putting it back together, fixing some of those little things, and then you check again oil levels, transmission levels, etc. Because, I mean, if you're running on a bumpy road, you might have hurt the decoder or any important part of your car in the bottom that you do not see. And that's really probably the key of my whole conversation today. You check it out. Even though you do not see, we don't see the car. We cannot tell many things just by looking at the car. How's the transmission doing? I have found a lot of friends that tell me, oh, I'm so disappointed I was going to do this, but My car didn't run well. I took it to the garage, and it had a major problem with transmission. So bad that they have to change the whole thing, and it's going to be very expensive. Why? Because we didn't see it. Which means not because you don't see it, does not exist, or it's not going to happen. That's exactly what happens with cancer. That's the message I want to bring to you today. We don't see cancer. There's not a symptom of cancer. I wish there were. Sometimes I say, oh, I wish every cancer would have a pain, just like shingles. You start with the pain, and then you know what it is. But here, you can live your life very happy, and all of a sudden go to the doctor and he tells you, you have a cancer. Not only that, but the cancer is advanced. The cancer has gone to other organs. You have bone metastasis, or you have liver metastasis, or you have lung metastasis. In other words, the cancer has advanced to a point where treatment is not going to be easy, nor inexpensive, nor without a good amount of suffering. So, what are we saying today? What we're saying today that things we don't see still happen. Just like I was mentioning with your truck. Your body has many functions that we take for granted, many functions we don't even know about, many things that are a lot more complicated. You know, every time I see how the body works and how the body can do all the changes and so forth, you have no option but to look up and say, thank God. How could you create this beautiful piece of machinery, and furthermore, you put it in my hands to be taken care of? So if we are a true believer, we have to understand that this temple, which is our body, needs very important care. And it's not just what you look at in the mirror. You can see your skin, you can see your complexion, you can see the status of your hair, growth, etc., your fingernails, things that are very obvious. But there are many things that might be wrong, terribly wrong, that we do not see. And because they don't give any symptom, we do nothing about it. Actually, it is considered, and I'm not telling you about this, it's a fact, that more than half, more than 50%, actually it's between 67, 80%, the number of people that they discover cancer when cancer has already advanced. Why? Because they didn't see it coming, they didn't feel anything. And sometimes we have minor symptoms. But these symptoms are so quiet, so silent. They're really like a stealth type of thing. They come upon us and we don't see it coming. But all of a sudden, we start developing some simple symptoms that are very non-specific. You say, well, I'm not hungry. I have met people, for example, that you talk to and then you say, oh my God, you've been losing weight, you look great. And then the person tells you, oh yeah, what sort of regime, diet, etc. are you following? And they say, no, nothing, I just started losing weight. Watch out. If you cannot hold your weight for whatever reason, and you haven't made any lifestyle change, it's time to check it out. If for any reason you don't have the appetite you used to have, you sit at the table and they put on the table this thing that you love. They tell you, oh, I'm glad you're here because this is what I prepare for cooking today. And you say, no, it doesn't really look appealing. No, I'm not going to eat. Oh, I'm up to here, even though you know you didn't eat that much. So those are so simple symptoms and so non-specific that you cannot say 2 and 2 is 4. You cannot assume you have an important disease. And our body is so resilient, and it can get into action so many protective mechanisms that that symptom might go unnoticed for months. In the United States, as we speak, it is considered that most cancers are discovered months, let's say 5 months, 6 months before the first symptom appeared. And you say, but what can I do, doctor? I don't feel anything. I don't have any problem. I'm going to work. I'm functioning fantastically well. How do I go in checking whether I have or not have cancer? It's a difficult task. And it is a difficult task, and that explains why a big number, almost half of all cancers, when they discover they are advanced, and why so many people don't pay any attention to any of these symptoms, because they could be anything. Could be a flu, could be you're tired, could be stress, could be whatever. And we tend to think of the simplest thing. Let alone symptoms. And once again, I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. I had some patients, and I'm going to take case 1 and take 2. Both of them noticed about the same time when I talked to them, a little bit of blood in the urine. One took it very seriously. She had a very good doctor who said this could be a bladder cancer. Sure it was. It was discovered on time. She took all the treatments she had to. She was at the hospital at BioCare. We did everything we knew about that type of cancer, and she's a victorious survivor of this cancer. The other person, he went probably to the wrong doctor. He says, no, this might be nothing, wait. And 6 months later, they found out he had bladder cancer. Right now, he's gone. He died. So that shows you how important it is to pay attention to every single symptom. Stay with me, because I want to keep telling you about this. My friends, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And those of you that have followed me through now many years, time flies, know about what I like to do, talk and inform people about things they can do to prevent or to overcome health issues. And if illness is not your problem, then about physical fitness and energetic life, so you can enjoy your body, your life, your friends, your family. You will not be able to do that if you're sick. And we're talking today about early diagnosis in cancer. We're talking about what the numbers tells me. The numbers tell me that a big number of cases are going to be diagnosed 5, 6, 8 months after the problem could have been discovered. You missed the best 6 months for therapy opportunity. And you did that because you either didn't feel any problem or some general symptoms that sometimes might be kind of obscure. You just misread them. You thought, oh, I'm losing weight because, I'm eating less. Or I'm losing my appetite for I'm very stressed. We're very prompt to create an excuse to a small symptom. You see people that start limping and you say, what happened? Oh, I don't know. I think it shouldn't be anything. It might be a mechanism of defense that we disregard a lot of these things. The other aspect to it is that for some reason, big diagnoses are for somebody else. You say, oh, poor guy. He doesn't really take good care of himself. He looks terrible. He's lost weight. He's aging too fast. And now he has this cancer. You see, it's something that happens to other people. It couldn't possibly hit me, but it does. It does. Cancer can get anybody. And the worst part about this, that's why I want to talk to you. That's why I want you to listen. That's why I want you to follow me. That's why I want you to share all this information. Because what breaks my heart is that many times we could have inactivity months before the day you came to see me. If only you knew better what to do with your body and how to keep the awareness and vigilance it takes to make sure that your body works well and continues to work well and will continue to work well. And the only way you can get that power is by educating yourself. You have to educate yourself. You have to read, to watch. Today with your computer, you're only a click away from a lot of information. And this time, yes, I want to insist. If you have any minor thing that you do not fully understand, call BioCare. There's going to be a doctor on the other side of the phone. And he's going to tell you, let's check this out. And as a friend of mine, who's actually an oncologist, says, first, you have to prove that's nothing serious. After that, okay, take your time. We will solve it somehow. But if it's a serious diagnosis like cancer, we have to get working right away. That right away means that we have to know what to look for. If we don't know, we will not understand. We will misread it. There's actually a French clinician from the beginning of the 18th century. So it's a long time ago. And he said, you have to know what you're looking for. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. So when you check your body out, right now, for example, we're going through, in October, we're talking about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we talk about mammograms, we talk about self-examination, and so on. And as important as breast cancer is not the only cancer we can get. We can get the gastrointestinal cancer in the colon, in the stomach, in the liver. We can get a neurological cancer, a glioblastoma or astrocytoma, any of those things. We can get lung cancer, particularly those of you that smoke. So all that thing tells me that there are many cancers I might catch, and that's one. Second, that we're watching people with cancer younger and younger every year. Why? Because mainly our lifestyle. So if you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, wow, the world is yours. You feel fantastic. You can run a marathon. You might even win it. Why do you have to worry? Because from everything you do today, you will have to pay tomorrow. So you have to begin very early about how to take care of your body. Actually, I would begin from birth. It should begin from birth. Because if you're born through a natural delivery and you're breastfed, you already have several aces in your game. You can win a lot of things because you're going to have a fantastic intestinal flora. You're going to have a fantastic immune system. You're going to be able to destroy cancer cells as soon as they just pick in. You're going to destroy them because you have a powerful immune system. So from the beginning, and then when you're growing up, you eat everything. You eat your fish, you eat your greens, you eat your vegetables, but we have to teach children to do it. Because I don't want to have a son that's going to die while I'm alive because he's in his 40s or 50s with a stomach cancer. I don't want to be the one that bury my children. I want them healthy by the time I go and be on my side when I die. That to me is natural. The opposite is completely unnatural. But when you think about it, you have to realize that there is not one bad habit except smoke and alcohol. That's going to be later in life. But in terms of food, rest, physical activity, and so forth, we are responsible for the education and training our children get. So if we start doing that, we're beginning to beat cancer. But now you're an adult. So what I'm asking you to do, I'm asking you to be aware and vigilant. Look at yourself every day. Nothing beats that. You go take your shower, get a full-size mirror in your bathroom, take a good look, get your weight, check your blood pressure, see if you become short of breath for any reason, check if you are excessively tired, or if you have lost interest in several things, or if you have mood problems. That you have to share. You can call me. You can get on the phone. You can click and ask a question. You don't have to give me your name or anything like that. You just have to say, I'm 46 years old and I'm feeling this. What should I do? Couldn't be simpler. But that way, we might get things in motion that first are going to prevent cancer. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, Georgia, which is one of the most important authorities in health in the United States, tell me that 40% of all cancers might be prevented by lifestyle changes. And deep in our heart, we know what we do wrong. We smoke, or we drink too much, or we overeat, or we take excess bad fats because we love chips, because we love soda pop, because we love bad food, fried food, etc. So we know what we're doing wrong. We know what we should be doing because nobody questions that. Nobody questions the fact that if I give you a piece of cod, a very nice deep ocean fish with some steamed or baked potatoes and rice and legumes like beans, like garbanzo, nobody questions whether that's healthy or not. Our main excuse is, I don't like it. Doctor, I never eat this. And I know, because our children, we give them cereal, whatever is in that box, with skim milk that has lost a lot of its natural nutrients. And then for lunch, they get a sausage on a bun. And then for dinner, we give them chicken nuggets, deep fried, French fries, deep fried, donuts, deep fry. You follow me? And then we get surprised. We say, oh my God, my children are not doing as well as they should. And it's not their fault, it's that we feed them. We feed them those things. We teach them to like those. So if you say chard or spinach, nobody likes that. Ugh. That's not yummy. That's what we have to do. We have to be aware that cancer might be somewhere around and that we have to discover it early. We have to find out as soon as possible. And ideally, get it out of your life. If you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you're in the perfect age to discard a lot of health issues, a lot of health challenges by changing your lifestyle. So if you listen to me tonight, I want you to share this information. I want you to talk to your children. I always say, get a situation room. Get at the dinner table, sit your children, see what's in the fridge, see what's in the pantry, and start making changes and showing them they can do a lot better than the way we did. We belong to a generation that told us that eggs are bad, that fats are bad, but they were talking about good fats. Those are the bad. The good ones were the fried food and so forth. So they cheated. They cheated us. They trained us to like what they sell. We have to undo that. We have to show our children a better way because you want them to live long and happy. Stay with me. We're coming right back. We are broadcasting with the help of Truth Be Told Radio Network. I would like you to listen to all of these programs every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you miss it for any reason, you can listen to the following Saturday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can search on Spotify, you can search for Truth Be Told Radio Network. And you're going to have over 150 programs like this. I am Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And I'm going to make it a lot easier for you. You can go to our toll-free number, it costs you nothing, and ask me, Doctor, this has happened in my life. What do you think I should do? Or my father or my friend. You don't have to give me a name. Of course, you're not going to be charged anything. It's just a conversation that I love to have with people so they don't get to come as a patient with a terrible diagnosis. I want you to come to BioCare to get early diagnosis, early evaluation, check everything out, check lifestyles, and help you to live longer and healthier. That's why I like people to come to BioCare. I like them to come to BioCare to really work with all that beautiful machine that's the human body and make sure that every level, everything, the oils, the transmission levels, the windshield things work okay, etc. That's what I want you to do. You come for 10 days to BioCare, and then we're going to do a lot of these things that we're saying. We're going to look for early diagnosis, exactly where you don't say it. Why? Because I already have told you that most cancers in the United States are diagnosed later than what they should. And I have already told you that many cancers will go unnoticed. Probably 50% of them will go unnoticed for a long time before you can see that you have a problem. So we have to do something. And that something is the ability to recognize something is not right. So that's your first line of defense, that you think of it. If you don't think of it, nothing is going to happen because you're going to be busy with your life. But you need a couple of minutes every day, probably at the time you retire, probably at the time you wake up, probably all that, and then say, okay, how do I feel? I can move, I can do this. I don't have any pain, I don't have any ache, I can spring out of the bed and get going, etc. So that is a good idea. I'm holding on my weight. I check my blood pressure every now and then, and everything looks fine. If you want to go a little bit further, check your blood sugar, which you can do it with a little prick in your finger, and just make sure that everything is all right. It's like looking at the dashboard, and you check oil pressure, and you take the temperature of the engine, and you check RPMs, etc. That's exactly the same. You're looking at your dashboard and make sure that simple but very important things are in order. Weight. Weight is our terrible enemy. And it's becoming more and more relevant almost every day because we have more obese people, we have them younger. I mean, you just have to go to any shopping mall and you can see kids that must be 12, 13, 14, obese. I like to do that when I go to the market and look at the carts and see what people take. And you see everything is boxes and cans. That's not food. That's not for human consumption. Because the Bible tells me that God provided me with fish, with animals to eat, with plants and fruits, with seed. All that is written in the Bible. And if I want to be obedient, I'm going to follow those rules. One more thing that's very important in your line of defense. First of all, the acknowledgement, but the next one is more proactive. Being proactive by checking things, checking my weight, checking my waistline, checking my everything. And if there are any changes, you have to be able to explain them. You're losing weight, yeah, because now I'm walking 10,000 steps every day. So you're going to start losing weight. And your appetite is healthy, your life is very good, you can move, etc. So everything looks fine. But there is something that I call the 50,000-mile checkup. Because when you have a car, you check the tires, you rotate the tires, you change oil, you take it for a tune-up, etc. We don't do any of that with our body, which we should. But then there's going to be a point about 50,000 miles when the garage is going to tell you, now you have to leave your car for a couple of days. Why? Because we're going to check this, we're going to check the other, we're going to check some of the things in the engine, etc. So you have to leave the car here. And that's what the BioCare Health Getaway is all about. If you're turning 50, if you're about to turn 50, if you were 50 just a few months ago, etc., it's the time for a good checkup. It's a time to make sure that everything is in order. And furthermore, not only what I can see, but also what I don't see. What is what you don't see? I can tell you about, for example, laboratory markers that can be a very early sign of some malignant activity. At BioCare, we have, of course, all the standard tests, but if our inflammatory levels are high, if our tracers for prostatic cancer, or breast cancer, or stomach cancer, it's a blood test. You're going to be in the hospital, and you're going to begin with something that nothing can beat, nothing can compete. A one-to-one conversation with your doctor, where you review your history, when you review the history of those that were here before you. It's important to know. I ask many times people and say, oh, I don't know. You say, are your parents alive? Yeah. Your grandparents? No. Do you know what they die of? No. It's time to ask, Mother, what my grandfather died of, what my grandmother died of. Because remember that not necessarily that cancer is hereditary, but yes, certain metabolic conditions that might help the cancer to develop. So if you know that, you have to stress your care. You have to stress your vigilance. And if you do, you're going to begin putting cancer in the back burner. It might never hit you. And if it hits you, you're going to be able to tell very early. When you have a timely diagnosis, number one, therapies are simple. Number two, they're the least expensive. Number three, they do not involve big suffering, like a lot of this, a lot of that will ruin your life. So BioCaring is going to help you. Because when you have a cancer, you have declared war to that cancer, whether you want it or not. There are going to be many things in your body that are going to react against that cancer. We have immune cells that are searching for abnormal cells. And when they find them, they tag them. We have special white blood cells that tag that cell as a strange cell, shouldn't be there. And then you have the big white cells, the macrophages, that are also in circulation. So they're just running around. But when they see a cell that's been tagged, they will engulf it and eat it and destroy it. We actually produce cancer cells every day. We do not develop cancer because we have a body that was a work of art, a body that was made in perfection. But it needs care. When you start doing that, you're going to see that you're going to start feeling better and better and better. And when you do this health getaway, all those parameters are going to be checked. Once again, your complete medical history, your full medical examination. A lot of good things are going to come out from that conversation, one-to-one, you and your physician. And then when you start getting all the results and you can look at many good things that are in your body and hopefully discard any serious disease, then you now know better on how to proceed, how to live longer and how to be healthier, because you already are getting the information. But please don't wait. Please don't disregard things. If you misread a symptom, that might be a completely lost opportunity to be healthy, to heal. So if you notice anything, you have to tell us. And you can do it from the comfort of your house, from your work. Just click. Doctor, I have had this. Should I be concerned? Should I visit a doctor? What can we do about it? How can fight this back? And you're going to see that they say, oh, great, you did very well. Pancreatic cancer is one of the most deadly cancers. Well, I had a patient that came for a simple, very simple thing. It wasn't really a medical diagnosis. But when we test everything, we found she had a beginning of a pancreatic cancer. And you know what? She beat it because it was very early. The earlier you diagnose, make no mistake, the earlier you have a diagnosis in your hand, the more chances you have to beat that cancer. We'll be right back with you. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, Medical Director of BioCare Hospital. And I thank you for the hospitality, for welcoming me in your house, in your car, in your workplace. A conversation like this between you and a doctor can always be very, very fruitful. You will learn something about you and your health every day. And that knowledge is going to give you the power to control your health in a better way. When you have an early diagnosis, no matter what it is, you can start setting things in motion to counteract that disease. And in the beginning, every single problem can be fairly simple and inexpensive to deal with. But if we wait months, which the United States statistics tells me that it's about 6 months, between 5 and 6 months later than what it should be, that cancer diagnosis, well, we have missed a lot of things. The cancer is bigger, stronger, better off in every possible way, if not that it has already produced distant tumors. That's what we call metastasis. But if we start very early, sometimes you just pinch it out of the body and it's gone. Cervical cancer, for example. Cervical cancer, all you have to do in the real beginning is that you can see a little thing in the cervix of your uterus. And that little thing, you can literally snap it off. You look at it at the microscope and you say, aha, here are some cancer cells, but they're in the surface. They haven't been yet being able to get across the deeper layers of the cervix. And by all standards, you might say, you're cured. If worse comes to worse and you see something else, well, you take a little part of that cervix out and you're cured. I mean cured. You will not think of that cancer ever again. But to be able to do that, you have to go and have a pap smear, which I recommend you probably once a year. I think your birthday is a very good time to do all this. You're preparing for your birthday and you order a cake and you invite friends and you do things. Why don't you also plan a couple of things like a pap smear, a good review of your breasts if you don't want to do mastectomy, mastography, that depends on your age and so forth. But yes, a good examination of your breasts, preferably by a physician, and preferably by a physician that looks after this type of problem, not just any doctor, a real good physician. I know doctors that I trust more than an ultrasound scan. I mean, they have the experience to touch and say, well, this is not well. And remember that breast cancer is the most frequent cancer in women in the United States. So I'm not talking about something like far-fetched. No, this is real. This is for real. Breast cancer is the cancer that kills more women in America than any other cancer. Well, self-examination. Just learn how to do it or get somebody you trust. If you have a sister, if you have a mother, if you have somebody, they can help you to do it. And a pap smear is fundamental. Once again, a very early cancer of the cervix can be removed and cured. So why do we wait? When you start doing all those things, you are being proactive. One of the problems in American medicine is that we were taught that the doctor knows best and that whatever he tells me, I should do. And that no matter what I have, the doctor is going to solve the problem. And many of those things are at least not fully true. Because you go to the doctor, many times he says, oh, this is advanced, so it's going to be more difficult. I'm going to see if we do use radiation or stronger chemotherapy, etc. Instead of saying, oh, I'm glad you came so early. But you cannot go to the doctor. That's the other paradigm that we have to break. It's very much imprinted in American medicine. You go to the doctor when you have a problem. Well, once again, your birthday. Plan an appointment with your doctor. Have a good conversation with him. Have him check your breast, your cervix, your everything. Diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, all these risks are going to be able to be fully evaluated and understood by one visit. And then you get it off your head. And if anything comes back good, congratulations. Now you have a lot of peace of mind. Not until my next birthday I have to do this. It's going to take me a couple of days. But it's going to go a long way. What if they discover something very early? Well, you can get rid of it without any effort, with very little money, and in very good circumstances. Better yet, you come to BioCare, you do your treatment, and also you get going. You get a kickstart on a different lifestyle, on a different form of eating, different way to control chronic inflammation, different way to control metabolic problems, overweight, intestinal flora dysfunction, etc. You can change a lot of things in only 10 days. So you can start doing something like that and say, I'm going to use some of my money, I'm going to use some of my time to take care of myself. Doesn't it sound like a win-win? And it is a win-win situation because you're going to be actively looking for dysfunctions that might take your life, because cancer is going to kill you if you let it just grow anyway. So what we're talking about today is that there is no question. I don't think any of you has any doubt, no doubts at all, that the earlier you make a cancer diagnosis, the better off you're going to be. The more chances you have to beat the disease. But be able to do that, given the circumstances that cancer is pretty asymptomatic in the beginning, that it can disguise the symptoms as something else, etc. Only a very proactive awareness and vigilance can help you to get through this problem and solve it before it happens. So don't wait till you're sick to talk to a doctor. And once again, you can do it freely. If you call me, if you click on BioCare Hospital and ask any sort of question. We love to help people, to guide them to do things that are going to be on your behalf. I don't like seeing cancer patients. I don't like to see people with strokes. I don't like to see people with diabetes, with any of the current chronic degenerative diseases that are killing most Americans. The ones that I just mentioned are killing most of the Americans. Diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, heart, neurological disorders like Alzheimer's, and of course, cancer. And all of them have a common ground to develop. That's why when you put yourself on a diet because you want to lose weight, and use some of these intermittent fasting, or you change your diet, or you become vegetarian, etc. You start losing your weight, you start looking fantastic. But at the same time, you're sending away heart disease, strokes, Alzheimer's, everything. So helping one condition, helping one side of the problem is going to be multifaceted, the way it's going to act. Because it's going to act upon all those chronic inflammatory diseases that make most of the American deaths today. 7 out of 10 Americans are going to die from a chronic inflammatory degenerative disease. Why don't you try to stay away? Why don't you train your children to stay away from them? Please follow me. And now that we have social media, probably just like you, I wonder how could I do this before? But it gives you the opportunity to reach more people, to deliver the message, and to be able to tell you what we have to do. They're creating now certain organizations, particularly in the northern countries of Europe, like England, Denmark, Sweden, where they are creating a government organ to help people exactly that, be able to diagnose and identify a malignancy early. Because that timely diagnosis is probably your biggest asset in cancer fighting. Nothing beats early diagnosis. Nothing. It's not this drug, it's not this surgery, it's not this radiation, it's not that thing. No. The best you can do to fight cancer is find it early. Remember that cancer is just few cells turning to malignancy, misbehaving, replicating, but that can be addressed very simply. Many times just by lifestyle changes, by diet. I have already told you about this guy with prostatic cancer that was able to wipe all the images out back to normal just by getting himself on a very, I would say, obedient. That's the word. Because it's not that he was being bad to himself. He was just being obedient. Nevertheless, everything changed for him. He looks great. He's healthy. He's happy. He enjoys his family. That's what I want you to do. So sit around with everybody at the table, discuss all of this, talk about it in your church, talk about it at work. Let's help each other. Join me, follow me, and I'll be here next Friday.